Okay, and I'm back. My name is Natalie Van Dyken. I am a student in Leadership and Ministry with Dr. Hayes. Today I'm talking to my second leader for my project today. This is my pastor, Jimmy Banks. He is our next gen pastor here at Praise Church and also my boss. So I'm excited to meet with him today and talk about leadership.
Yeah.
All right, so just tell me a little bit so that everyone can know like how you got started in your leadership role.
So I guess for me, I felt like as a young man, literally 11, felt like God was asking me to serve him, I guess. And so, I kind of wanted to spend my life telling people about Jesus. And so quickly learned kind of what my giftings were and, stepped into being a pastor, realized that being a pastor was less of, you could stand on stage and have a mic, but I guess, Ephesians 4 always kind of popped out to me, and I know you know this, but we're here to equip the saints for the work of the ministry. So recognizing that pastoral ministry was a lot of not doing it myself, but allowing other people to do ministry. And so a lot of it became leadership heavy and stuff like that. And so, from a young age, it was like, I want to tell people about Jesus, and then the most effective way to tell people about Jesus is to raise up leaders who go and tell people about Jesus. And so.
Very cool. All right. How do you define success?
The first thing I think of, I guess, off the top of my head, am I looking here or here?
Either way,
what do I do?
it doesn't matter.
The first thing I think of when I think about success, for me, would be faithfulness.
Okay.
Faithfulness to opportunities that have been given to you. And so, I look at my family. Success in my family is faithfulness to my wife, to my children. Am I being a good husband? Am I being a good father? If I look at my church, is faithfulness to the role that God has for me here. Faithfulness. So success for me is faithfulness to opportunities that God has given me. And then obviously faithfulness to the gifts that he's placed inside of me. Am I reaching my full potential within the gifts that he's given me, I guess? And so recognizing that, he's given me a leadership opportunity. I don't necessarily look at this as I'm the pastor, y'all better listen. It's a little more along the lines of God's given me the ability to be a pastor. So I want to be faithful to that and use that as an influence to help people serve people, to help them serve and that sort of stuff. And so I would just kind of go up in that, there's a parable that Jesus tells about the guys with the talents. Mm-hmm. Basically, you have something because the master gave it to you. And then when the master collects at the end, he says, what'd you do with what I gave you? And so for me, success is being faithful with what I've been given. So
that's good. I like that. Okay, so what are one or two of the top leadership principles that you've discovered and executed that have contributed to your success in leadership?
Read it for me one more time, just so I can really get it.
Leadership principles. When you think about leadership principles that you have learned along the way, what are the top two that you could think of that have really helped you be set up for success?
I think early on, leadership principle would be, and I say this to my teenagers all the time, and when I'm a youth pastor, right, or when I'm with the staff, I always just say that serving is the path to greatness, right? And so that's you're like, what do you mean? How's that a leadership principle? I remember being in Bible college. I remember, doing this whole thing. Am I a lead servant or am I a servant leader? And one is describing the other. So if you're a servant leader, that means you're a leader with an adjective of servant, or are you a lead servant, which means you are a servant with the adjective of leadership. And so that describes that. And so I am a servant. And so kind of mix that with, Jesus' disciples are arguing about who's going to be the greatest. And Jesus hears them arguing, right? And he doesn't reprimand them for who's arguing who's going to be the greatest. He shows them the path to greatness. And he gets down with the towel and washes their feet and all this sort of stuff. Which is literally, if you want to be great, serve.
That's good.
The Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve. Yeah. And so obviously the greatest leader in my life is Jesus. And so I just want to say, hey, how can I serve you? And serving you right now, what does that look like? Not just, I want to walk around being a janitor, but what does serving look like to you? That's been a major leadership principle of my life, is looking at every opportunity and saying, how can I serve? And then probably the second one would then be, how do I bring excellence wherever I'm at? Which goes back to the faithfulness issue. But even with like entry-level interns and stuff like that, I'm always trying to say, look, when I was an intern, I was given a closet and I was told to organize the closet. And I brought, and I think Andy Stanley would say, an oasis of excellence wherever you go, right? And so literally I made that closet the most excellent closet ever. Like literally organized it. I don't know what the heck I was doing, but cleaned it, you found all the nasty stuff in it. And if you're faithful with little, God will set you over much. And so looking at that as a leadership principle is like, if I've been given a task, and there ain't no way it's happening halfway. If anything, you know, people get around me and they're like, well, you're gonna do it the Jimmy Banks way with extra fluff and extra, to me, that's just excellence. Like, I want it to be done, I want it to be as thought through as possible, as excellent as possible, so that builds trust with my leaders. And then my leaders look at that and they're like, if he's gonna be excellent with that, I know he's gonna be excellent with this. And they start getting brought into other stuff. And that worked when I was young and working, you know, part-time jobs the whole way to the influence that I have now. And so that would be another huge, just bring excellence, you know, because everything you do, you're supposed to do is unto the Lord, right? And so it's like, if literally God asked me to do this closet, I would do that closet. You know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't halfway do that closet.
Yeah, so. That's good. I like that. Okay, so what would you say has been your greatest accomplishment so far?
Staying married, is that good? Greatest accomplishment so far. Wow, that's a great question. Greatest accomplishment.
How long have y'all been married?
That is a good one. Yeah, that's a good one for sure. I don't know. I got to do the math. No, greatest accomplishment. That's a good question. I would say that's such a hard question. I don't know. I mean, like greatest accomplishment. I guess you could sit there and you could say that it's because we've done a lot of cool stuff. You know what I mean? But it's like those are good accomplishments, and there's a lot to be able to look at. Greatest accomplishment is kind of like, oh man, I got to pull one thing out of all that. I guess a lot of it is just kind of goes back to we've created a culture where we're at now.
Yeah.
To where it's like there's just a culture of momentum where we figured out how to make moments that build momentum for like a young person's life. And so we created that culture here, and there's hundreds of young people who are having moments with God, but they're not just like those classic ministry moments. They're like, it's momentum. Like we figured out how to have that, and just kind of seeing that culture built where we're at right now is, I would say, it's like I'm very proud or I'm very honored to be able to lead and see the fruit of that, and being able to stay. I've been at this 6 years now at Praise here, and being able to see that longevity, but also that's how long it takes to create culture.
Yeah.
So just young people are hungry to know the Lord, and it's pretty cool.
Okay. All right. So flip that, and what would be the greatest challenge that you find as a leader?
Like currently or like ever? Currently, greatest challenge. I think, I'm 35, still a young pup, or I'm old, depending on who I'm talking to, would be that I think, it's like one of those things, just the reality of it, like you're in Bible college, right? When I was young, it was just like, I just want to lead a big ministry one day. Like, you're young, so your goals are off a little bit. I mean, it's a good-hearted goal, right? Yeah. And now that I lead a ministry that's even bigger than I ever imagined, it's kind of like, so probably one of the hardest things, what was the exact phrase?
What's been the greatest challenge?
It has been a reminder of being like, success isn't a number, success is faithfulness, right? And so it's like, when we had an event the other night, whatever, over 700-800 people showed up to a youth group event. And like, that's not success in and of itself. Like, knowing that you never arrive. You're always on a journey, right? And it's like, but if you kind of put those arrival moments in there, you get like let down by the arrival, I guess.
Okay. Can you pinpoint a defining moment in your leadership and how it defined you? Like something that happened that just changed, like you were like, I'm going to remember this
Oh
moment.
yeah, for sure. Well, we can go back to when I was fired from my first youth pastor job. That was a for sure defining moment. But I mean, just honestly, I had, this is my fourth opportunity of ministry. My third full-time opportunity of ministry. Got fired from the first one. Then it was kind of like consolidated that. The second one just ended up not being a healthy environment. And I do remember having that like moment where I was like I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was, I can't serve like man, I guess. Like I got into this thing to serve God.
Right.
And it was just like that classic thing that I always heard was like, if you can't learn to follow, how can you know how to truly lead? And I remember having like that kind of like finally like clicked with me. And so like that was a defining moment where like I felt like stepping out of ministry and going and doing something else. But it was like, no, this is what God has asked me to do. And so like for me, it was the hardships that built the character to have like the character to do the perseverance to do what I'm doing now, especially knowing that I'm doing it for the Lord, but in that way. And so that was just talk about a huge character defining moment. It's like, it hasn't been roses, you know what I mean? It was like all of my 20s up until 29 it was walking in mud in leadership. And so, yeah, that was probably it.
Yeah. I'm glad you came through it and overcame it, and now
Yeah.
you're the point you're at now with us.
Me too, for sure.
Okay, so how do you handle criticism?
Bro, listen. I mean, you talk about just like words of affirmation, right? Like you talk about the love languages or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's like 1, 2, and 3 on my list, right? Is words of affirmation. Like I am at full scale, whatever. Like it is what it is. So it's a good thing and it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
But so criticism, like I know that it's the right thing, and I have to personally, I have to coach myself when I'm being criticized, knowing that like I can't let it crush me, right? And to foster the relationships around me to be like, I actually invite it.
Yeah.
And so I've come up with this phrase, or I got it from somewhere, who knows, but I don't know the source of it, so I'm gonna say I come up with it. It's just like creating a culture like within your relationships of being like, we all have blind spots, so let's communicate this to each other that we all have blind spots. I want you to know that I have your back. I'll never stab you in the back. And so it's like, I need someone to have my back. And when I invite that criticism into my life, I can healthily walk through it. When I get criticized from the outside, man, it's just want to slap somebody. You know what I mean? Gotta get after it. It happens all the time in ministry, like all the time. And like I think the hardest thing is like you want to defend yourself. Like I want to defend myself in my actions. And what I had to end up learning is like you don't have to defend yourself. Like you continue living in a way that like honors people, loves people, serves people, and you can communicate when you make mistakes and you're looking for that common ground and all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, like I can't take it too personally, I guess would be my answer. And then also I shouldn't feel that need to defend myself, basically knowing that like I'm doing, kind of ties back to whatever, I'm doing it to be faithful to God in the first place.
Yeah. And
leadership to me is serving that person. And so when something gets twisted in there and there's criticism happening, kind of just ends up for me just being like, don't take it too personally, don't feel the need to defend yourself. Like, let's find some common ground here and grow and build this relationship.
Yeah.
And then use it as information to actually grow.
Yeah.
I don't know who said it. I think it was Craig Rochelle, but criticism is like gum. You should chew it, see what it's worth, never swallow it, spit it out. And so if someone criticizes you, chew it, all right, there's probably some sort of layer of truth in here, but spit it out, like don't swallow that, don't let that like define you or anything. But
That's good, I like that. Okay, what do you do to keep your family priority number 1?
let's go. I love my kids, right? For real, like, and luckily we have a church culture here that's like our family's our first ministry.
Yeah.
So like anytime, like obviously your husband had surgery last week, You can edit that. I'm not, we're not putting that on the internet. But it's just like, go take care of your husband. You can work from home when in the middle of that sort of stuff. You'll get your work done. We trust each other, your character, and stuff like that. And so we have a great culture like that, which is super amazing at our church here. I don't know. I just love my kids so much. So it's super easy for me. Like it's super easy for me to be like yesterday, for instance. This is a good answer. Yesterday, I forgot that I had a 6:30 dinner meeting with some like small group coaches. Completely forgot. And I just come home from like a weekend where I was gone on a personal trip. My family wasn't with me. And so I was like, hey, I forgot. And I had like a meeting or two with some people. And I said, look, I'm going home early today because I forgot that I have this thing tonight. And so I knew my kids were getting out of school at 3. I left. I just went ahead and left and I was like, I'm gonna spend at least 3 to 6 with my kids and my family and my wife, and then go out for the night. And for me, it's balance. Like they are first priority, but it's also balance and schedule. So whatever season I go into, my wife and I have a schedule to where like, this is the schedule that I'm gonna honor. There was a season there to where I was out literally every Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and Thursday night. I was working like 9 to 10 o'clock every single day. So we had like a young adult service, a youth service, and then a small group. Now for that season, so then I was super protective of my Friday, Saturday, Monday. Like, because I know that gauntlet's gonna happen every week, I was super protective of that. Whereas right now, I'm not doing an every Tuesday thing, and my small group's on a Sunday night. And now it's just like, but I still just protect those moments. And so set the schedule, protect the moments, spend a lot of time with your kids, love your kids and family, and all that sort of stuff. And run the phase, you know what I mean? Like have a plan. We have a plan for all of this. What we do here at the work. We have a plan for all of this. We have a vision for all of this. We have a culture for all of this, and apply all of that to the home for me. So I have a plan. There's a culture I want in my home. There's a vision I want in my home. And my wife and I come up with that, and we just go after it, do our best, keep it balanced.
I need a culture in my home.
It's a culture of you do your chores.
Get to it. Okay, how do you continually deepen your personal relationships with your staff, your peers, and other people who follow you?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I will say one of my weaker points is like, well, and it's, I would say like a weaker point for me is like, you know, it's like once you jump on staff level, it's just like go do your job. You know what I mean? Which I shouldn't do that when you're like a volunteer. So it's like I need to do a lot of like investing in you, whatever. And so like I guess it's just is this a confessional hour like in this moment? But no, it is just super important to, you know, it's the coaching model, right? For us, it's like, how were you, you know, allowing other people to, you know, put the Saints, right? Allowing them to play the game. You're a coach, you're giving them strategies and culture and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, a lot of it really just kind of comes back to, you just got to be intentional, I guess, and recognize the investment that you're putting in people, and just take advantage of the times that you can't have with them. And if you don't schedule, you don't prioritize your schedule, you schedule your priorities, right? It's a Covey thing. And so it's like, you need to, basically, you just have to get to the place to where you're like, this is a priority for me, so I'm gonna schedule it. And I'm not just gonna like kind of organize what's already on my plate. I'm gonna say, no, these things are happening and everything else can be revolved around that. So it's important and it needs to happen, so you just gotta make it a priority. Well, did I answer the question? Or did I basically just confirm the question? I don't know what I did. But.
No, that was good. Okay, I'm interested on this one. So describe the role God plays in your life and leadership.
So that's a great question, honestly, because like I constantly want to be in a space of being like, I can't do this without you. And I want to remind myself that, and I want to be in that space. And so, and honestly, I've experienced it to where it's just like, I know when I'm like manufacturing things, and I know when I'm operating out of the overflow of like, just like, I'm so close to God and it's just kind of coming at me. And so for me, it's not, well, what are you trying to do? It's who are you trying to become? And so when you become the type of person, then you can do the thing that God asks you to do. And so a lot of it is like, who are you becoming? And so for me, like the non-negotiables is like that personal time, literally personal time. And if I get in a busy season, I literally will turn that personal time into like God, I'm going to use this as my personal time right now. Like I'm not super strict on being like I have to have personal time with God. Like as far as like I'm going to feel bad if I don't do my devotional type thing. But it's just like as I go throughout the day, being like, God, thank you that I get to do this. Like, thank you that I'm about to spend 3 hours in your word, writing a sermon for the teenager that I'm about to preach to, or for the young adult, or for the child that I'm about to speak to. But God, in this 3 hours, we also speak to my heart too, because I love that I get to do this. And I love that, you know, and it's just honestly, everything that we teach, it's a relationship, right? It's all that sort of stuff. And so, but also recognizing that I don't want to be operating out of what I have to give only. I want to be operating out of the overflow.
Right.
And the only way to operate out of the overflow is to be like connected to God consistently and that sort of stuff. And so, and I truly believe if I put a ton of effort into trying to know everything and trying to like have all the right answers, I wouldn't even come close to comparing to just spending a little bit of time with God and saying, God, I want you to operate through me. I want to be a vessel to be used. And I'm going to do all the reading, but I'm going to do it because I'm going to be faithful with the gift that you've given me.
Right.
Like you've given me a voice, you've given me the ability to teach your word in a way that is magnetic and, you know, people listen and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's not for my name to be glorified. It's for your name to be glorified. And so genuinely for me, it's just, I want to have the integrity of a personal relationship with Christ. And so we have one of our 4 cultures within our next gen ministry is spiritual authenticity, right? So which is like, if I wasn't a pastor, I would still be a Christian.
Yeah.
And the fact that I'm a pastor has nothing to do with, or the fact that I'm a pastor does not define my Christianity. I'm a Christian who gets to be a pastor.
Right.
And if I wasn't a pastor, I would still be on the front row worshiping the way I worship in. I would still be studying the Word of God the way that I study the Word of God, because it's personal for me, and ministry is out of that overflow of that personal relationship.
That's
and so
good.
it's just that mindset of like, I'm a Christian who gets to be a pastor, and the pastoring happens out of the overflow of this like personal, like me and God relationship. And at the end of the day, they're going to become like you more than like what you say. And so it's just like spiritual authenticity. Like, don't talk about prayer, pray. Don't just stand on stage and talk about doing good things, do good things.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Be about it.
it's all integrity.
Yeah.
And so it's just like I get to live that thing. So
That is so cool. Okay, what questions are you asking yourself lately?
hey.
This is why I didn't tell you my questions.
No, this is
ahead of
good.
time.
No, this is good. This is good. You know, obviously every season, it's just like once you kind of feel like you're like an expert, God's like, all right, here's some more stuff that you don't know anything about. You're like, oh my word, you know. So I've always, you know, so it was like all of my 20s, it was basically doing ministry on an island with no help. Then I come to Praise, and now I'm a next gen pastor from just being a youth pastor. And I have like directors that work for me, you know what I mean? And so you have directors, which is awesome. Their director for us is not necessarily an admin only. They're admin with great leadership skills. So that's what a director is for us. But now it's like I got a bunch of pastors working for me, right? I got a junior high pastor, kids pastor, young adult pastor next year, plus all of the directors. And so for me, it's no longer how do I execute ministry. It's like, how do I help others execute ministry? You know, it's like, and those are the questions I'm asking myself. It's like, literally in like the last year and a half, I've been writing everything that I've learned over the past 15 years, just writing it, so that I could be like, all right, here's the culture of what we're trying to do. And all right, here's, I would call it the playbook, right? So it's, and you've seen the playbook, right? You've seen the 1 pages and stuff like that. So it's like, if I were to do this, here's this. You know, we just did a camp. Here's how you would do a camp, right? Here's, in trying to do that sort of stuff. And so the question I'm asking myself right now is, you know, this thing can't revolve around Jimmy's brain. I've got to get my brain out and on paper and into other leaders, so that, and we've done that from like a volunteer level. We've done that from like everything's run by youth, by people and youth and kid. All of it is like all that sort of stuff, but it all kind of still bottlenecked with me. I guess at this point, I'm trying to figure out how do I release all of that to the people around me and to the playbook or whatever. So those are the questions that I'm asking. Is like, I don't want to be the only expert. I want there to be many experts.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't want to be the only culture builder. I want there to be many culture builders. And so those are the questions I'm asking myself right now. Is like, not. So I'm good at believing in leaders. So I'll say it this way: I'm good at being a leader, right? Just is what it is. I'm good at being a leader. I'm good at believing in leaders, and giving them opportunities, right? So we've developed all these opportunities, and this is the literal. I'm right now asking myself, am I good at building leaders? You know what I'm saying? So I'm good at being a leader. I'm good at believing in leaders. Basically saying, hey, I give you opportunity. I'll like, run this team, run this team, run this team. Come be a kids pastor. Come do this. I can give you vision for how we're going to do that. But the question I'm asking myself right now is, am I good at building leaders? Because it's got to be more than just me. It's got to be more than just opportunity. It's got to be like, how do we build good leaders?
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at.
That's good. All right. Okay, how do you respond to the idea that it's sometimes lonely at the top?
Oh, shoot. Super lonely at the top. Yeah, so, I mean, honestly, like, I've learned so much in, the last few years that I've been here at Praise from Reg, our pastor. It's just one of those things of being like, he literally said to me, like a month, maybe 2 months in, I don't remember exactly when, but he literally said, he's like, man, if you ever have like a personal issue, I'd rather you tell me and we'll work through it than you hide it. And he goes, unless I have to, it won't cost you your job. And it literally was that, I care more about you as a Christian than like as a pastor. And like, obviously if we break the trust of the church and all this sort of stuff, we've got to work through that. But it was just that like personal thing of just being like, I care about you as a pastor. Like, you as a Christian.
Yeah.
And don't allow the fact that you're a pastor and you could like lose your job or whatever if you mess up type stuff. Because I think that's where the loneliness comes in personally. I think that's where we get lonely at the top, is that we feel like we can't be 100% authentic and real, because if we are, we'll lose our position. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've intentionally built people into my life that know literally everything. And it's just one of those things to where I want to live such a life of integrity, such a level that to where, and they're like men in the church, you know what I mean? And they help me with my marriage. They help me with all this sort of stuff. And so, and invite them into that space and being like, if you feel like you have to like report me, if I do something super crazy or something, whatever, like if you have to report me, do it. But I need to let you know when I'm feeling prideful.
Yeah.
I need to let you know when I'm feeling like everyone's stupid around me. You know what I mean? Like I can't necessarily do that here, because the same people that I feel that are stupid around me, or I feel like I'm better than, if I can't work that out with somebody, who am I going to work that out with? Then you start feeling alone, being like, well, I really can't be myself because I'm at the top, and people are going to think less of me. That's really just one of those things of being like, have those core relationships in your life. And so just be intentional about that. Like as a leader at the top, you've got to be intentional about those relationships, or you will become completely alone, because the facade of being that perfect leader will overcome any, all this sort of stuff. And so that's the way I would answer that, is that you've got to be over the top intentional with some of those relationships and communicate that to them. Being like, this has to be a thing for there are literally thousands of people that like look to me as a leader, and I can't feel that need to be perfect. I need to be open and honest with somebody in my life, but then also I should not be portraying perfection in front of people either. But at the same time, I shouldn't be walking around cussing and all that sort of stuff. So I know that wasn't necessarily on the answer, but I think that's part of that answer, because I think we get alone because we can't be ourselves. So we've got to be able to be ourselves and figure out how to do that in integrity across the board.
Okay. All right. Now this is the one that I'm excited to hear your answer to. Do you think about your legacy and what you will leave behind someday? And if so, what kind of legacy do you want to leave?
I do, for sure.
I mean, you're still really young in your ministry, so this is an interesting question to me.
So young in the ministry. You heard
because,
that?
well, like talking to my dad, who is in his 60s, reflecting back on his life, and you in your 30s, reflecting on even the idea of having a legacy. What kind of legacy do you want?
Here's genuinely what I want my legacy to be. And so I think about this stuff. I'm weird, so I do think about this stuff.
I dig your weirdness, by the way.
Yeah, cool. I literally want my legacy to be, did you know that his insert influencer, insert legend, insert world changer, did you know that his leader was Jimmy Banks? So not that I'm the legend, I'm the world changer, I'm the name on everyone's lips, but it's like that person that's so amazing. Wait, Jimmy empowered them to be that person.
Oh, yeah.
That person that's so amazing. Did you know that Natalie, right? Amazing. Did you know that Jimmy was her leader? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to be known for the people that I've led. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so it's not necessarily about, oh, Jimmy. It's more along the lines of like, how on earth did so many incredible people come out of his leadership? That's more of what I want it to be. I'd rather be at a table where everyone else is doing great ministry and I'm releasing it and allowing it to happen than me being at a table and having to do it all myself.
Yeah.
And that's genuinely what I want my legacy to be. Like, look at the amount of world changers that came from, I want to be whatever. I want to be a hero maker, not a hero. I want to be the Obi-Wan. I don't know Star Wars that well. Like, so is it Obi-Wan, not Luke? You know what I mean? I don't want to be Luke, the one that everyone knows. It's Luke Skywalker. I want to be Obi-Wan. Like, I want to be the guy that allows the guy to be the guy.
Yeah.
And like, that's genuinely my legacy. Like, I want that to happen through the context of making God's name great and God being glorified and all that sort of stuff. And I want to be able to give people those opportunities to become those leaders. And if someone connects the dot and they're like, wait, you're telling me that Jimmy was the leader of this, and this, and you see all these world changers that everyone knows, like, that would be pretty cool. For me.
That would be very cool. Okay. Well, thank you. That's it. You survived.
I hope you get an A. I want you to get A's on this.
I better get an A.
Thank you.
All right.